This is Concept E classes, and today we'll deal with Chapter 4 of Class 8 NCERT Geography, Agriculture. So in this chapter, first we'll see what is agriculture. Then this agriculture can be considered as a system. So we'll see what is a farm system. Then the types of farming. There are two types of farming: subsistence farming and commercial farming. Then we'll deal about some crops that are grown in large scale, and finally about agriculture development. Now, what is agriculture? Agriculture is a science or the practice of farming which includes cultivation of soil for growing of crops and rearing of animals to provide food, wool and other products. Or in simple words, we can define agriculture as a science or the art of cultivating plants like crops, fruits or vegetables and rearing of livestock. Now the word agriculture is derived from the Latin words agar or agri meaning soil and culture meaning cultivation. Now there are various types of cultures like sericulture, pisciculture, viticulture, horticulture. So these all are different types of cultivations. Now sericulture is a commercial rearing of silkworms. Pisciculture is a cultivation of fish, that is breeding of fish in specially constructed tanks and ponds. Viticulture is a cultivation of grapes, and horticulture is a cultivation of vegetables, flowers and fruits for commercial use. Now agriculture is a primary activity. Now in order to understand that, first let's see what are primary activities. Now in the process of agriculture, the plants, they have to get transformed into different finished products. For example, the wheat that the farmers grow, they have to be processed in factories to make bread and biscuits from that flour. So this transformation from a plant to a finished product involves three types of economic activities: primary activities, secondary activities and tertiary activities. So let's discuss briefly what all are these activities. Now what are primary activities? Primary activities include all those occupations which are connected with the extraction and production of natural resources. For example, agriculture, fishing and gathering. So in all these examples, we can see that these activities are directly associated with nature. So such activities are called as primary activities. Now what are secondary activities? Secondary activities are concerned with the processing of these natural resources. For example, manufacturing of steel or baking of bread, weaving of cloth. So in all these cases, the processing of natural resources are done. So these are examples of secondary activities. Now what are tertiary activities? Now the tertiary activities, they provide services and support to primary and secondary activities. For example, transport, trade, banking, insurance, etc. So in the world, 50% of the people are engaged in agriculture activity, and in India, 2/3 of its population is still dependent on agriculture. There are two important factors which are important for agricultural activity. One is favorable topography of soil and climate. Now the land on which the crops are grown is known as arable land. Now this is the world map which shows the distribution of arable land. See, this grey parts all depicts the land on which the crops can be grown. Now let's see what is a farm system. Now agriculture or farming can be considered as a system, and the important inputs of the system are seeds, fertilizers, machinery and labor. The operations involved are ploughing, sowing, irrigation, weeding and harvesting, and the outputs that are received from the system includes crops, wool, dairy and poultry products. Hence we can consider agriculture or farming as a system. Types of farming. Now farming is practiced in various ways across the world, and depending upon the geographical conditions, the demand of produce, labor and level of technology, farming can be classified into two: subsistence farming and commercial farming. Now, the subsistence farming is again subdivided into intensive subsistence farming and primitive subsistence farming. Commercial farming is subdivided into three: commercial grain farming, mixed farming, and plantation agriculture. So let's study about each of these farming techniques briefly. First, let's see about subsistence farming. Now, this type of farming is practiced to meet the needs of the farmer's family. Hence, low level of technology and household labor are used to produce on small output. So, this type of farming that is practiced to meet the needs of farmer's family is termed as subsistence farming. Now, subsistence farming is further subdivided into intensive subsistence farming and primitive subsistence farming. Now, let's see what is intensive subsistence farming. Now, in intensive subsistence agriculture, the farmer cultivates a small plot of land using simple tools and more labor. Climate with large number of days with sunshine and a fertile soil permits growing of more than one crop annually on the same plot. That is, if the climatic conditions are favorable, then the farmers are able to grow more than one crop in the same land. Rice is the main crop. Other crops like wheat, maize, pulses and oilseeds are also grown. Now, this agriculture is common in thickly populated areas of monsoon region of South, Southeast and East Asia. Now let's see about primitive subsistence farming. Now, primitive subsistence agriculture includes shifting cultivation and nomadic herding. So first let's see about shifting cultivation. Now, shifting cultivation is practiced in the forest of Amazon basin, tropical Africa, Southeast Asia and Northeast India. These are the areas of heavy rainfall and quick regeneration of vegetation. Now let's see how shifting cultivation is done. Here first a plot of land is cleared by cutting the trees and burning them. Then the ashes are mixed with the soil and crops like maize, yam, potatoes are grown. After the soil loses its fertility, the land is abandoned and the cultivator moves to a new plot. Shifting cultivation is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Now, shifting cultivation is known by different names in different parts of the world. For example, in Northeast India it's called as joming, in Mexico it's called as milpa, Brazil it's called as roca. Like that, shifting cultivation have different names in different parts of the world. Now let's see about nomadic herding. Nomadic herding is practiced in semi-arid and arid regions of Sahara, Central Asia, Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. In this type of farming, the herdsmen, they move from place to place with their animals for fodder and water along with definite routes. And this type of movement, that is, they move from place to place because of the climatic constraints and terrain. Sheep, camel, yak and goats are most commonly reared in this type of farming, and they provide milk, meat, wool, hides and other products to the herders and their families. So now let's see the second type of farming, which is commercial farming. In commercial farming, the crops are grown and the animals are reared for sale in market, that is for commercial purposes, and the area cultivated and the amount of capital used is very large, and most of the work is done by machines, and as a result there would be only less labor. So commercial farming includes commercial grain farming, mixed farming and plantation agriculture. So first let's see about commercial grain farming. In commercial grain farming, the crops are grown for commercial purposes. Wheat and maize are common commercially grown grains. Major areas where commercial grain farming is practiced are the temperate grasslands of North America, Europe and Asia. And these areas are sparsely populated, that is less populated, with large farms. See how big the farm is? And they are less populated, spreading over hundreds of hectares. and severe winters restrict the growing season and only a single crop can be grown. That is, this farming is restricted during winter season as winters are very severe. Hence, only one crop can be grown. Now let's see about mixed farming. In mixed farming, the land is used for growing food, fodder crops and rearing of livestock. See, here we can see how the buffaloes are reared along with the field, and here also the duck in a paddy field. So in mixed farming, the land is used for growing food and fodder crops along with livestock. It is practiced in Europe, Eastern USA, Argentina, Southeast Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. So this is the image of mixed farming in Kenya. Now let's see about plantation agriculture. Now in plantation agriculture, the type of commercial farming where a single crop of tea, coffee, sugarcane, cashew, rubber, banana or cotton are grown. So here we can see the plantation of tea, the plantation of cotton, the plantation of rubber. So large amount of labor and capital are required in plantation agriculture, and the produce may be processed on the farm itself or in the nearby factories. Hence the development of transport network is essential for such types of farming. Major plantations are found in tropical regions of world: rubber in Malaysia, coffee in Brazil, tea in India and Sri Lanka are some of the examples of plantation agriculture. The next topic is major crops. Now a large variety of crops are grown to meet the requirement of growing population, and the crops they supply raw materials for agro-based industries. Some of the food crops that are grown in large scale are wheat, maize, rice and millets. Some of the fiber crops that are grown in large scale are jute and cotton, and some of the beverage crops are tea and coffee. So let's discuss each of these crops and what all are the requirements for growing such crops in a large scale. So the first crop that we're going to study is rice. Now rice is a major food crop of the world, and it is the main diet of tropical and subtropical regions. Now rice needs high temperature, high humidity and rainfall. It grows best in alluvial clay soil, as this soil can retain water. China leads in the production of rice, followed by India, Japan, Sri Lanka and Egypt. Next we have wheat. Now wheat requires moderate temperature and moderate rainfall during its growing season and bright sunshine at the time of harvest. It thrives best in well-drained loamy soil. Now wheat is grown extensively in USA, Canada, Argentina, Russia, Ukraine, Australia and in India. In India, wheat is grown in winter only. Next we'll see about millets. Now millets are known as coarse grains, and they can be grown on less fertile and sandy soils. It is a hardy crop that needs low rainfall and high to moderate temperature and sufficient rainfall. Jowar, bajra and ragi are grown in India. Other countries are Nigeria, China and Niger. Next we have maize. Now maize is also known as corn, and we can find different varieties of maize across the world. Now maize requires moderate temperature, moderate rainfall and lots of sunshine. It needs well-drained fertile soils. Maize is grown in North America, Brazil, China, Russia, Canada, India and Mexico. So the next fiber crop that are grown in large scale is cotton. So cotton requires high temperature, light rainfall and 210 frost-free days along with bright sunshine for its growth. It grows best on black and alluvial soils. China, USA, India, Pakistan, Brazil and Egypt are the leading producers of cotton, and it is one of the main raw materials for cotton textile industry. So the next fiber crop is jute. Jute was also known as golden fiber, and it grows well on alluvial soil and requires high temperature, heavy rainfall and humid climate. This crop is grown in tropical areas, and India and Bangladesh are the leading producers of jute. So the next major beverage crop is coffee. The coffee requires warm and wet climate and a well-drained loamy soil. Hill slopes are more suitable for the growth of this crop, and Brazil is the leading producer, followed by Colombia and India. So these are coffee plantations and these are coffee beans. Next we have tea. Tea is a beverage crop grown on plantations. This requires cool climate and well distributed high rainfall throughout the year, and it needs well drained loamy soils and gentle slopes. Labor in large number is required to pick up the leaves. Kenya, India, China, Sri Lanka produce the best quality tea in the world. So that's all about major crops. Next we have agriculture development. Now what is agriculture development? Agriculture development refers to the efforts made to increase the farm production in order to meet the growing demand of increasing population. So agriculture development refers to the efforts made to increase the farm production in order to meet the growing demand of a population. And this can be achieved in many ways, such as increasing the cropped area, increasing the number of crops grown, improving irrigation facilities, use of good fertilizers, and high yielding variety of seeds. So the aim of agriculture development is to increase the food security. Now what is food security? It exists when all people at all times have access to sufficient food, safe and nutritious food to meet their daily needs. Now agriculture has developed at different places in different parts of the world. That is, the developing countries with large populations, they usually practice intensive agriculture where crops are grown on small holdings mostly for subsistence. Whereas countries like USA, Canada, Australia, they have larger holdings and they are more suitable for commercial agriculture. So with the help of two case studies of farms, one from India and one from USA, let us understand about agriculture in a developing country and a developed country respectively. So first let's consider a farm in India. The farmlands in India are quite small. That is, the typical size of an agriculture field in India would be about 1.5 hectares. Now the farmers, they purchase high yielding variety of seeds from the market every alternative year. Now the land is fertile and at least 2 crops are grown in a year. The farmer then takes advice of his friends, elders or government agriculture officers regarding farming practices. And for ploughing his field, the tractors or traditional method with bullocks are used. Tube wells are used to irrigate the field, and the farmer, they also rear livestock to earn more income. All the members of the family, they help in various farm activities, and the farmers, they take credit from bank or agriculture cooperative society to buy HYV seeds and implement. But because of the lack of storage facilities, the farmers are forced to sell the produce even when the market is not favorable to them. But in recent years, the government has taken steps to develop storage facilities. So mostly subsistence farming exists in India. Because of the labor availability and small size of farming, lands are suitable for intensive subsistence farming practices. So we saw the features of a farm in India. Now let's consider a farm in USA. Now the average size of a farm in USA is much larger than that of an Indian farm. A typical farm size in USA is about 250 hectares, and the farmer, they generally resides in the farm. Some crops grown are corn, soybean, wheat, cotton and sugar beet, and the farmer grows a crop on his field after making sure that the soil and the water resources meet the needs of the crop. That is, a farmer, they check whether the soil and water resources are favorable for growing the crop. Then only he will grow or cultivate that crop. Now, adequate measures are taken to control pests that can damage the crops, and from time to time, soil samples are sent to the soil testing laboratory to check whether the nutrients are sufficient or not. And the farmers, they even have computers which is linked to satellite, which gives him a precise picture of his field. This helps to use chemical fertilizers and pesticides wherever they are required. Tractors, seed drills, leveler, combiner, harvester and thresher are used to perform various agricultural operations. And the crops or the grains are stored in automatic grain storage or dispatched to the market agencies, and the crops are grown at a commercial level. So if we consider a farmer in USA, he works like a businessman and not like a peasant farmer. So that's all for Chapter 4 Agriculture. Tune in soon for the next session. Thank you so much. May God bless you all. Take care and bye-bye.